The other day, I randomly came across a video on YouTube with a mom who was talking about how much she did not enjoy being a mom. She went on about how difficult and hard motherhood was and how much she just did not like it. Now, I wish I could say that this is a really uncommon thought, a really uncommon mentality for moms, but it really isn't. There are a lot of moms out there. I see them on Instagram, I see them on YouTube, I see them in my real life who just spend a lot of their time talking about how much they don't enjoy their life as a mom. They talk about how motherhood is something that they just need to survive. They talk about how they're just trying to make it to the end of the day where they can finally get some alone time. They complain about how being a mom is a burden in their life, or they talk about their kids as if they are a major inconvenience. Or they express bitterness over the things that they used to do that they can no longer do now that they are mothers. And honestly, this just makes me so sad. As a mom of 5 kids for over 16 years now, I can tell you that not all of motherhood is simple and easy, and not all of it is fun. There are times in motherhood that are extremely challenging. You might have a difficult moment with a child, a difficult day overall, or a very long, difficult season. But we actually have a choice in the matter. We can choose to see our motherhood as a burden and see it as something that we just need to get through, that we just need to survive, or we can see it through the lens of joy, and we can see it through the lens of a blessing. There are ways that we can find joy in motherhood and enjoy it overall, even if we aren't enjoying those hard moments or enjoying the season we're in or enjoying the struggles, because we don't have to enjoy the struggles to enjoy motherhood overall. So today I'm going to talk about 3 simple things that you can do to enjoy your motherhood more right now in whatever season of life you're in. Hey homemakers, I'm Jess from the blog siloandsage.com, teacher turned homeschool mom of 5. Here we talk about all things homestead, homeschool, and homemaking. So grab a cup of coffee and let's cultivate your home. Now, the first thing that you can do to enjoy your motherhood is to actually build intentional, authentic relationships and connections with your kids. So much of motherhood is task oriented. There are always things that you need to do, right? We have a constant to-do list, whether you actually write it down or it's all in your head. You always have a list, right? You have laundry and you have meals and you have to switch out the kids' summer clothes to their winter clothes and find all the winter gear and find the boots and the snow pants and the coats that fit you. I just did this, and let me tell you, it was a whole task. You run kids to play dates and activities, and you schedule appointments, and you change diapers, and you are always doing things for your kids. But what are you actually doing with them that helps you connect with them? Because we can get so focused on the tasks that we have to do that we completely skip connecting with our kids and connecting as a family. Now, these don't have to be super elaborate, like Pinterest worthy things that you do with your kids. You don't have to plan this elaborate scavenger hunt that takes you across town and you have to take pictures and all the things, right? You don't have to plan an expensive vacation with your family. But there are simple things that you can do in your home, in your everyday life that help you connect with your kids. And I'm going to give you a few examples of a few things that I did just in the last 24 hours to help me connect with my kids. So last night, my 4 older kids were all gone. They all had an activity out of the house together. And my 7-year-old was at home with me. And as soon as all the other kids were out of the house, he immediately looked at me and said, "Mom, will you paint with me?" Now, I have to tell you that when my house is quiet, or even just when some of the kids are gone, it always feels to me like the right time to clean something. There are fewer bodies around. I tend to get more done because I can be a little bit more focused. But if you parent several children at one time, you may know that having one child is sometimes it takes a little bit more of your attention than if you have multiple kids. Because when you have multiple kids together at the same time, they can kind of entertain each other, right? They're going to play together. But when you have one child, especially when they're younger, it takes a little bit more of your attention because suddenly you are the only person to play with. So even though my instinct was, I just want to clean up, I instead paused and I said, yes, I'm going to play with you in 5 minutes. I'm going to tidy this space a little bit because that just helps my headspace to help me be focused and connected with him. And then I said, yep, let's go paint after that. So we spent 20, 30 minutes sitting at the art table together. He painted, I painted a little bit. He told me my painting was the best painting he'd ever seen in his entire life. And then, we just chatted, we talked, and it was just a great time of connecting one on one. Then last night, as most of our kids were going to bed, one of my kids came in to the room where I was doing a little work on my computer, and he just started talking, and we just had this great conversation. It wasn't anything elaborate, it wasn't about anything special, but we just connected. We had a one-to-one conversation. My husband came in, we ended up the three of us having a little conversation. It turned silly because if you have a 12-year-old, that usually turns a little silly. And it was fun and we laughed, and it was just a moment where we could enjoy each other and connect. Before my teenagers went to bed, I showed them this funny meme that I had found that I knew that they would find hysterical, and they did. These are just little things that we can do throughout the day to have these authentic moments of connecting with our kids. Because if we get so focused on our to-do list that we don't focus on connecting with our kids, we really miss out on the joy of motherhood, because the joy of motherhood is not in these tasks that we have to do. And it can be just so easy to forget about that, to forget to stop and look our kids in the eye, to stop what we are doing, to put aside our tasks, and to spend a few minutes really connecting and really seeing our kids for who they are and connecting to them on like a heart level, on a relational level, and not just on a do this, do that, pick up your shoes, put your, plate away. We can get so caught up in the to-dos of motherhood that we forget to connect and really reach them at the heart of who they are. So there are so many ways that you can do this, right? There's no one way. It could be something as simple as taking one child with you to the thrift store or the used bookstore and to find a book that you know that they're going to love. It could be as simple as sitting outside on the swing set with your kids, or walking to the park and keeping your phone in your pocket the entire time and actually playing with your kids. That is one that is difficult for me. I will tell you. I don't love playing at the park. It could be a family night where you watch movies and you order pizza and you get to eat the pizza in the living room where you normally don't get to eat the pizza. And you just have a fun night together, all your kids with your husband, like everybody together at once. And there's so many different things you could do. So I actually put together a free guide called Activities for a Flourishing Family that just has a ton of these ideas. It has ideas for ways you can connect one-on-one with your kids, like just simple everyday things. It has ideas for how you can connect together as a whole family. It has ideas for date night for you and your husband. It has family night ideas, things you can all do together. So there are so many things in this guide, and you can get it totally free. It's a PDF that you can download. You can go to siloandsage.com/flourish to get it. And my hope is just that it would spark some ideas, some inspiration, and just give you some practical ways that you could connect with your kids, and maybe some things that you hadn't thought of yet. So the next thing to help you enjoy your motherhood more is just to cultivate your home and your home rhythms in a way that brings peace and order to the everyday. Because the truth is, we are much less likely to enjoy being a mom, to enjoy the everyday of motherhood, the ins and outs, the tasks, the hard and the easy moments, if our homes are and the space around us is in total disorder. Now, I know this is very true for me, and I say this as someone who is not naturally very organized or very tidy. When my home is out of order, or I don't have good rhythms in place for cleaning and systems that will help me to get things done well and efficiently and easily, I don't have appropriate expectations on how much I can actually get done in a day. All of this causes me to feel very overwhelmed, and that actually spills over to my kids and to my relationship with them. I will get much more easily irritated at the noise or just the little messes that they make when they're playing, if the house is kind of in disorder or is not really calm and peaceful. And my kids might not be able to express this in words, like they might not actually say this, but I can tell that they feel very overwhelmed with the space when things are not kind of put together or in order. I can see it in their behaviors, I can see it in their attitudes, and I can see it when things are tidy or organized or just kind of like in a more orderly way, that they are calmer, they are more peaceful, they have a nicer attitude toward each other. And when our house is more calm and peaceful and orderly, I actually just enjoy all the tasks of motherhood so much more. I don't feel overwhelmed by my space. I don't feel like I have so much to do and I'm not caught up, and I cannot take a moment to sit on the couch and read books with my kids or snuggle or spend 5 extra minutes just sitting with them or being with them or talking with them. I don't feel like I constantly have a to-do list that I need to get to because things are fairly ordered. And I am just someone who doesn't really enjoy a lot of the homekeeping tasks, like the housekeeping, like the dishes and, the cleaning things. I just don't naturally enjoy that. I know there are some people who do, and they're naturally good at that. And that's just not like my natural bent. I like to be organized. I like to have a clean house, but I'm just not good always at getting it there unless I have really good systems and rhythms in place. And I think too often we view things that we don't enjoy, we view them as drudgery or a burden. So if there are tasks in motherhood that you don't enjoy, you are more likely to see motherhood overall as a burden or as something that doesn't bring you joy. But the thing is that you don't actually have to enjoy things to have a positive attitude about it and to view it through the lens of joyful motherhood. Like, no one loves waking up every night for 6 to 9 months or however long your baby didn't sleep. Like, no one loves waking up and not getting enough sleep, right? Nobody loves that. But you view it through the lens of joyful motherhood because you know that this is a task that you need to do, right? This is a necessary care task for your child. And even though it's hard and difficult in that season, you can still view it with this overall lens of joyful motherhood. That even though I don't enjoy this moment at 2 a.m. when I'm getting up with my baby who needs to be fed, and even though I don't love this moment of being out on the road at night in the rain with a child who's learning how to drive and it's very stressful and not enjoyable, I can still look at it through this lens of motherhood is a joy and a blessing. I don't have to love this exact moment. I don't have to love scrubbing a sink full of dishes. I don't have to love these things to still view motherhood overall as a joy and a blessing and not a burden. But I will tell you that over the years, I have done exactly that. I have shifted my perspective on these tasks that I don't love, these tasks that in the early years felt a little bit more like a burden, like things that, oh, I have to do this. I have to scrub this sink full of dishes that I hate. That's like my least favorite chore. I hate doing dishes. Why do I need to do another dish? Why is there so many? Why do they use so many cups? I could have an attitude of bitterness when yet again something is spilled on the floor. I could have a feeling of dread over the laundry that needs to be done because there's so many kids in my house that always need clean clothes. But instead of having that attitude of bitterness or an attitude of this is drudgery and just something I need to slog through and get it done, I shifted my perspective to number one, I can create systems. I can create systems that make these things easier, that make these tasks more efficient and make them less difficult. I actually have a video all about my laundry system is if laundry is one of those things that you hate, because it used to be one of those things that I hated. Then I found this laundry system, totally changed my life. I will link the laundry video below. There are systems you can create. You can use like a home management center in your home. That has really changed how things work in our house. I will link my blog post below about our home management system and the chore chart that we use, and just kind of like the flow of how we do things when it comes to shared responsibilities in our home, that have really kind of shifted that attitude from like, I have this burden of doing everything, to it's a shared responsibility. It's a home that we care for together. Obviously, there are a lot of things that I do because I'm the mom and I'm the one who's in charge of the home. Like, that's my main domain that I take care of. But we're a family, right? We all do it together. And for me as a believer, just having this attitude of Colossians 3, of whatever you do, work at it with all of your heart as working for the Lord. Because that really shifts my perspective that wiping the table is something I can do for the glory of God. And washing the dishes is something I can do unto the Lord. These are moments that I can pray for my family. Just today, I was actually having those thoughts creep in of like, didn't I just wipe this table this morning? How is it so dirty? And why does nobody ever clean up after themselves? And that could have taken me down this road of bitterness. But instead, I just looked at the mess and I started wiping it. And I thought, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, that I have food that I can feed my kids. Thank you, Lord, that I have kids who are here at the table with me and want to share meals together, and that this is a space that we can be together as a family. Like, I took that moment that could have taken a root of bitterness and taken me down a totally different path, and I made it into something good. So I can change my attitude. I can look at things through a different lens. I can take things to prayer. I can really shift the perspective that I have over these motherhood tasks. Now, I want to pause for a second and tell you about my brand new course, which is called The Flourishing Family. Now, The Flourishing Family is a course that is designed to help you and your family connect in a very disconnected world. There are so many things that pull us apart as families, right? We've got activities here and there. We've got kids going one way and adults going the other way. We've got a constant distraction of screens in our hands. We have obligations for work and for church, and there are just so many things that are fighting for our time that it can be hard to stay connected as a family. Flourishing as a family, connecting as a family takes intention and it takes effort. This course is made to help you reconnect and build or strengthen family relationships between you and your kids and each other, and you and your husband. It will help you create a family culture that matches your family values, raise kids who enjoy hanging out with each other and you, and give you practical tips and encouragement for pouring into the relationships that matter most, your family. So you can head over to silencesage.com/flourish to find out more and see what this course is all about. And for a very limited time, you can actually get my course, The Flourishing Family, along with 39 other resources, including a 75 plus page digital magazine, for a third of the cost of my course alone. This is a bundle of over $600 worth of resources, PDF printables, ebooks, online courses to help your family thrive through togetherness, traditions, and tending to home. It's called the Connected Family Bundle, and it's only available until Monday, November 6th. In this bundle, you will find things like how to create a family night, handicraft tutorials and patterns, recipe books, family adventure journals, devotionals to do as a family, ways to remain calm as a mother in stressful situations, practical tools for budgeting and pantry. So many resources to help you connect as a family, grow together, and just help you as a mom to have the resources that you need for your home and your motherhood. So you can find that link in the description box below, but it's only available through Monday, November 6th, so make sure you grab it today. So the next thing is to have realistic expectations for what you can or should be doing in this current season of your life. We all have expectations, right? Expectations on what we should be able to do, what we should be able to handle, or how our motherhood should look. And honestly, most of those expectations come from the outside. They come from things we see on social media. They come from maybe our own mothers, things that we want to do the same as they did, or things we want to do differently. or they just come from an ideal about motherhood that we just picked up along the way somewhere. But oftentimes, those expectations are just not realistic, or not realistic in this particular season of our motherhood. They aren't something that we can actually accomplish or that we can realistically do right now in whatever stage of life we're in. And the reality is that we are so much less likely to find joy in the season of life we're in or enjoy our motherhood if we have these unmet expectations, if we have these expectations that cannot possibly happen right now. I think there's a lot of women that go into motherhood expecting that their life really isn't going to change that much. They're just going to add kids into the life that they're already living. And I think we expect that same thing as our seasons of motherhood change. We expect that we can still do whatever it was that we were doing before in our previous season. But of course, the problem is that your life does change. After you become a mom, you have kids, your day-to-day life changes, right? It does not look the same as it does before you had kids. Even if you don't stay home with your kids, your day-to-day life still changes. You may have a job that you go to, but your mind is still focused on, what do I need to do at home? What appointments do I need to make? When am I going to pick my kid up? What if my kid is sick? All these things that are going through your head and that you need to deal with, even if you aren't home with your kids all day. And I think there's a lot of moms that think that there's something wrong with them if they can't do all the same things that they did before they became a mom, or even just that they used to do in a different season of their motherhood. So, whatever season of motherhood you're in, whether you have a new baby, or you just started homeschooling, or you have teenagers and you're entering this new season of, high school teenage life, you have to have realistic expectations for what's happening in your current season, in your current life. Because what you could do as a newborn mom is going to look very different from what I can do as a mom with teens and some older kids. I could never leave my toddlers and my infants at home alone and run to the store. But that's realistic for me now. I have teenagers. I can run to the store and leave them all home together. Or I can actually send my teenager to the store for me. But I also cannot expect in this current season of my motherhood that all my kids are going to go to bed at 7:30 like they did when they were toddlers. That's unrealistic because teenagers do not go to bed at 7:30. I used to have a lot of time in the evenings or during nap time to do things that I loved. Like maybe I wanted to do some sewing. I could do sewing. If my husband and I wanted to watch a movie alone, starting at 9 o'clock at night, no one would ever interrupt us because they were all sleeping. In this season of my life, that isn't how I would expect things to go because no one's napping in my house anymore and no one is going to bed early. So I have had to adjust my expectations for the season of life that I'm currently in. So maybe this means that you have to find hobbies or interests that match your current season of life instead of the ones that matched your previous season, whether that was pre-motherhood or early motherhood or pre-homeschooling. If your kids went to school and now you're a homeschooling mom, you may have to adjust your expectations of what you're able to get done during the day because you don't have a quiet house all day long where you can get things done. You have to learn how to adjust and do them with your kids in the home. Maybe before you had a baby, you used to be a runner, but now in your postpartum season, that is not a possibility. Now, I've never actually been a runner, so take that with a grain of salt. But maybe you have to come up with new ways to exercise in your home because that's what's realistic for you right now. Maybe you used to love sitting down to read books for hours on end at night, but this current season of your life requires you to listen to audiobooks on the go or while you're rocking the baby. Maybe you and your girlfriends used to go out and have a girls' night, but that isn't possible maybe in your current season. Maybe your husband works and travels and you can't leave the house and you can't leave your kids alone and you don't have the finances to fund a babysitter every week. So maybe instead you host a girls' night in, or you have your friends over with their kids for a play date. Maybe you used to go out for coffee in the middle of the day with your girlfriends, and now you can't because you're a homeschooling mom and you have to be home during certain times of the day to be helping your kids go through their lessons or take an online course or whatever it is. There are different seasons of your life that you have to adjust your expectations and adjust the way you view your motherhood, and if those things that you used to do, if that's realistic or not. Maybe you were used to keeping a very tidy home, a spotless home before you started homeschooling or before you had kids. And now it just isn't as possible for you. So maybe your adjustment and your realistic expectation is that you're going to let some things go a little bit, or you're going to pay for and hire a cleaner to help you. We cannot expect that our days and our life are going to look exactly the same as they did before we were moms or in previous seasons of motherhood. We have to adjust and have realistic expectations for our current season. And I promise you, having these realistic expectations and letting go of the unrealistic expectations, the expectations we had in our previous seasons, that will help us enjoy motherhood more. It will help us to have just a realistic perspective and to give us a more positive, joyful attitude about our motherhood instead of resenting or having bitterness over the things that we used to be able to do that we can't do anymore or can't do in the same way anymore. Now, motherhood is not all sunshine and rainbows. I know this. That would be ridiculous if I tried to tell you that. We aren't going to love or enjoy every single second of it, but we can choose to change our perspective. We can choose in the midst of challenging or hard seasons to adjust our expectations, to connect with our kids, and to cultivate a home and home rhythms that are filled with peace and order. We can choose to have a perspective that doesn't just see the hard things or the negatives or the challenges. We can choose to see the joy in motherhood and enjoy it more. We can choose to enjoy motherhood even in the hard seasons, even when there are things we have to do that we don't love. Certainly don't do this perfectly all the time, but my goal is definitely to have a perspective of joy on my motherhood and just to enjoy my days, even if there are hard things that happen. So I hope that this encourages you. I hope this gives you some helpful and practical things that you can do in your home to shift your own perspective and to not fall prey to that attitude of motherhood being a burden or it being something that you just need to get through or you just need to survive, but that you can actually enjoy and find joy in your motherhood and in your everyday life. So if you like this video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you soon in another video, friends. And in the meantime, keep cultivating your home.